Latina Leadership Podcast, the podcast made for Latinas by Latinas, with Anjelica Cázares, Carolina Arenas, Diana Ruby, Jacqueline Villagomez, and Sonia Ramirez. Get comfortable, amiga, and enjoy the conversations.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Latina Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Anjelica Cázares, and on this episode, I had the pleasure of attending an amazing event by Boujee and Blessed, Deborah, who had was her first event. It was her first one that, maybe I should introduce who she is. Boujee and Blessed is a brand based around being blessed to have the opportunity to be able to do what she's doing, which is online selling merchandise in a very creative way. I love her brand. I love what her message stands for. And so I was asked if I could join her and do some interviews, and I did. I interviewed her and then a couple of her guests and some of her panel. So that's what you're going to watch. I think Deborah's an amazing person. It was my pleasure to attend. It was my pleasure to interview her. I believe she has a very strong brand. I believe she has a very strong attraction to like what she believes in, the things that she does. The panel was amazing. I'm excited for her. I'm excited for the next event that she does. Hopefully I can also attend that one, but I hope you enjoy these conversations. And with that, here we go. Hi, and welcome to the Latina Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Anjelica Cázares. On this episode, I'm here at an amazing event with Boujee and Blessed, Deborah. She had an amazing panel, and on that panel, Monica was part of that panel. Monica, can you just tell our listeners, really quick, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Shop Paloma Blanca. And my website is shoppalomablanca.com.
Awesome. And into the interview we go.
That was an amazing panel.
Oh.
Very impactful for a room full of women.
Yes.
So what I want to do is I want to touch back on some of those conversations.
Sure.
And you were talking about grief in a book that you read.
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell me a little bit about the name of that book, and what exactly did you learn?
So I learned, so the book is called The Body Keeps the Score. You'll have to look up the title, the author's name, because I don't remember it. But it is a very well-known therapy book. Mm-hmm. And it talks about healing the trauma that you've been through and how your body, if not managed through therapy, medication, things that will rehabilitate you, basically it just stores up in your body and it will come out in other ways. And then for me, it came out in my dreams, acne, mood swings, anger, rage. And as a wife and a mother, those things can be very toxic.
Yeah.
And so I knew as a nurse that I knew enough to say, hey, I cannot treat myself. I need to go see a therapist. And so that's what I ended up doing.
Trauma. As I heard you talking, a lot of your trauma, and I'm going to presume, self-inflicted.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily to speak on the trauma, but what, as humans, we seem to want to never blame ourselves for what happened or what part we took in our own trauma.
Right. Accountability.
Yes. What have you learned, and what would you like to say to those who are listening?
I learned that, where some of the trauma was I saw inflicted on other people when I was a child. Abuse, physical, verbal, emotional, ran in my family. And as religious people, sometimes we think we can pray it away.
Yeah.
And that was something that I grew up thinking that would happen, but it never went away.
Yeah.
And we would blame, we would blame the person, but never go to God with that thing, right?
Okay.
And maybe even blame God, right? And so as I was in nursing school, I realized, some of these things that I experienced were now I'm seeing in myself. But I thought, I can just manage this, right? Nurses have a tendency to self-diagnose and self-treat.
Okay.
Not what we should be doing.
Okay.
And so it wasn't until I became a mother that I realized some of these things that I've done So what ended up happening, where all this came to fruition, was I had my boyfriend cheat on me. And I did not know that until after we broke up, when his wife contacted me.
Okay.
And so I took that trauma and totally went into an eating disorder. Yes, totally self-inflicted. Nobody said, oh, because you did that, someone did this to you, I'm going to now torture myself. But that's what I ended up doing. Was trying to gain attention by any means possible, right? I had years of this secret thing that I was doing to lose weight. And then fast forward, now having children, I realize I want to do this again.
Yeah.
And I need to address this now. I have let 10, 15 years go past my life and never addressed it. I just shoved it down like I always do. I just kept managing. I'm good. I love Jesus. I go to church. I'm fine, right? Until the thing I saw, and I said I would never marry a man like that would be abusive and cheat on his wife or whatever. I didn't cheat on my husband per se. My time did in wanting to have revenge on the people, what they did to me. But I started acting out in anger at home. And so in those self-inflicting things, what I've learned is we repeat this cycle if we don't address the things in our hearts. That acknowledging what was done and realizing, okay, just because someone did that to me, I don't have to keep doing it to myself. And that God and therapy, and even medication, I was offered medication, but I never took it. That those modalities, even actually going to sleep on time. I was a late night owl. I made excuses for why I could never take care of myself until my husband said to me, you keep talking about all these things that you want to do and you never do them. And you talk about like a good plan for your patients, but you never do them. I mean, he caught me. I was like, you're right. And so I started to implement what I knew, best practice, what I would tell a patient to do, right? And what I learned is that I am capable of experiencing trauma and experiencing also self-inflicted trauma, and I don't have to stay a victim. That there is recovery on the other side of that. And my motivation for all of this was my children. I did not want to pass this down. I did not want them to see me. I was verbally abusive to myself. I would, food was the enemy. And I would drink in secret. And I just didn't want to be what I saw. And so I needed to address those things in myself and have a come to Jesus moment, if you will, and realize, okay, I'm doing this. No one is forcing food down my mouth. No one is making me throw up. And definitely no one is making me have another drink. However, I'm doing this, and there is a solution for this. And it takes time. It's a process.
I have to say it was very insightful panel. I love to at some point come on, allow you to come back on and give an entire dedicated moment and episode to this, but for the time being, thank you. Very insightful.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you so
I
much.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. And I'm back with the second panelist, Silvia Peña. Piña. My apologies. Silvia, really quick for the listeners, where can they visit you? They like to get you, because I know it's going to be an amazing conversation. But before we get into it, where can they visit you?
Okay, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Backyard Pineapple or at Silvia Piña, SY, but my business is at Backyard Pineapple.
Okay, really quick, what is it exactly that you do with Backyard Pineapple?
We mostly do backyard events, so like parties for children, adults, outdoor movies, all of the things backyard.
Awesome. So in the other conversation that I just had with Monica, I talked a little bit about what the panel consisted of. I think it was a very impactful panel, and I think Deborah did a really good job of making sure that it was felt by the audience. And just like Monica, I'd like to revisit some of that part of that conversation. And part of that was we talked about trauma. I mean, you ladies talked about trauma. Me and Monica touched on it quite slightly, right? And the grief sometimes that trauma brings. I'm coming to terms with the relationship that I had with my mom as an adult. You had to come to terms with the relationship you had with your mom, which is quickly talked about. You talked about how that trauma and that grief has impacted you today. I loved your words of wisdom. I'd love to hear it again.
Thank you. So basically what we talked about was my mom dying by suicide in 2004 when I was 17, and the trauma that like came with that before and after. I think growing up in a Latino household, kind of like a religious home, lots of things do get brushed under, or like kind of like you try to like make do with it, and you just try to accept it like, oh, this is God's plan, but it might not necessarily be that. And I think we just have to trust that like the things that we go through, like, yeah, there's reason, there's purpose behind them. But I think it escalated into a lot of things that were traumatic in my childhood, because I was 17, but also as a young adult, I just started doing things that weren't really healthy for me, making bad decisions. And I think like that trauma, if you don't stop it, it can keep repeating. So it's like a cycle of traumas, that the unwellness, the not being healthy, the not taking care of your mental health. And I think I've spent the greater part of my adult life really focused on my mental health, so that I can stop those cycles. So that my own children don't suffer with what I went through as a kid, you know?
Okay. So I think death is hard on a family. The death of sometimes the death of somebody, the unexpected, can create a lot of unanticipated circumstances. I'm from the neighborhood too. I'm from Denver Harbor. You're from Fifth Ward. We're like right across the street from. We don't talk a lot about the mental health. We don't talk a lot about grief. Right? We just grieve them. We put their faces on shirts. We put them, tattoo on us. We do all of these things, but we never really allocate any time to the emotional grievances of things. I guess what I'm trying to get at is, can you tell me? I lost my sister 5 years ago. Out of curiosity, I think this is just all my question to you. Because now I feel you. What have you encountered, and what do you continue to do to not make sure, but to keep yourself sane, to keep yourself making sure that you're okay at the end of the day, even though you're still grieving her years later?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've really focused as an adult on myself, and it wasn't like easy. There was a good decade of me doing things that weren't good choices for me, but I became a mother, and my children give me purpose. But also I've learned that I have to like do better for myself. I have to focus on me and the things that make me happy, and that with me, that's faith. But also like just trying to create a home that's filled with like love and feelings. We don't always talk about feelings, like you said, like when you're in the hood, it's like, oh, like, why are you crying, right? No, it's okay to cry. It's okay to name those feelings and to learn ways to feel them healthy, right? And so that's something I'm doing as an adult, and it's like you're reparenting yourself, you're reparenting your inner child. Sometimes I even reparent my dad because he says things to my kids, and I'm like, you can't say that. Like, no.
A lot of that comes with it, pero I definitely don't want to continue to get into the topic, because it can get really mucky really quick. So I'll leave it at that. But what for our listeners at this point, what words of wisdom, or what words would you like to leave us with?
I think when you go through a journey of grief, whether that's a family member or something like a job or a friendship, you have to really like feel that hurt. And like, whether it's through therapy or, you know, you're speaking with your doctors, your friends, like, you've got to find a way to like let that hurt out so that you can live your best life, so that you can live with happiness and purpose and feel like what you're doing really matters.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Silvia. I definitely, thank you.
Thank you so much.
You brought
I
so
really
much to the panel and the conversation along with the other ladies. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi. And so we have one of the guests. We got the panelists down. We have a guest from the event, Boujee and Blessed, Deborah's events. Okay, they had were you there during the conversation, the panel?
Yes, the whole thing.
Okay. There was.
I came early.
Yes, I have a lot to say. Pero, you as an attendee, I have a question. Can you describe tonight in 1 or 2 sentences, and what was your takeaway?
My takeaway was, well, first of all, I'm very, how should I say? I don't go everywhere because I'm a woman of faith. I'm a Christian as well, and I pick and choose where I go. You know, you can't just go anywhere. So at first, I didn't know the ladies from the panel, but I know Deborah, and we talk about God all the time. We connect on that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go support my friend. So I came, and oh my gosh, I was blown away, and
amazing.
the Spirit just blew us away.
It was in the room.
It was so amazing. I loved it. I even told her right now, I was like, oh my God, can I like get up and pray? Like, that's how good it felt. The presence of God was just in the room.
So how would you describe tonight, if those who want to attend another event that she has, how would you describe it in 1 or 2 sentences?
You have to come experience, pretty much.
Nice.
Experience the women, the empowerment, and experience how God works through other people, not just yourself.
Yeah. Awesome. And give me your name one more time.
My name is Laura Lumbreras. I actually met Deborah through my business, which we did markets and stuff like that. So I'm a baker. My name is Pookie Pops. I started off with cake pops and blew up into cakes and all kinds of events.
Oh my God. And how can we find you on Instagram?
My Instagram is PookiePops_cake pops.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, and I have another guest from tonight's events. I was just telling the other guest that it was an amazing event tonight. There was a lot of crying, there was a lot of tears, a lot was happening.
I cried.
Did you cry also?
I cried.
I was trying not to, and I was like, you know what? I don't know. I didn't bring like my extra makeup, and I was like, I can't cry.
I didn't think I was going to cry.
So I had to keep moving around. I had it because I couldn't pay attention too much because I was like, I know I'm going to get all wrapped up into it. It was an amazing event. Pero, I want to ask you a question. Can you describe tonight in 1 or 2 sentences, and what was your takeaway?
Empowering and brave.
Yeah.
Brave, courageous, those things. It was just like to see those girls up there and just like talk about their life like that with strangers and hear their stories and how far they've come. I was like, I get it. I get it. I've been there. I get it. So good for you guys. Like I was sitting there like, okay. Like, so it was just really nice. Like, go Deborah. You know, I told her, I'm so proud of you. Like that takes so much courage, and
it does.
Like, so good for you. It was just really, really nice. Like after work today, you know, after a long day, just to come and sit with like a bunch of women and hear stories like that, and just, it was just really nice.
It was
really nice. Yeah.
It was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, a breath of fresh air. That's a good way to put it.
For them to be so vulnerable with the entire room that I'm sure they didn't know it. Some, but not everybody.
Oh no, I was in there crying, and I was like, I don't even know these. Like I know them because I see them on social, but like I don't know them, and I'm sitting there crying.
I learned a lot about them, and which is I'm because I could relate to them, and I thought that was amazing. That was great. So, what is your takeaway? To trust God. Okay. To continue to trust God. Okay. That He puts stuff in your life that you just
don't see what's happening, but just trust him because he does not make mistakes. And I learned that. I got reminded today of that he has a plan, and just don't second guess what he's doing, you know. Like, I related so much when Sonia was saying like that she like looks at the billboards and stuff. Like, I do that too. I'm like, am I ignoring him right now? So so it reminded me to just trust in God, believe that he has a plan for me, and then just to keep doing what I'm doing. Yeah,
it's amazing.
So
okay,
that's what it is.
So how can we find you? Are you also an entrepreneur?
The what?
Are you also an entrepreneur?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
so I kind of guessed it. So where can we find you?
You can find me at Trading Spaces HTX. We are a small event space in Spring Branch. We do baby showers, bridal showers. We just throw workshops and cool events. And then my personal handle is Sonia Winfrey HTX. And you can also find me at Champagne Problems HTX. We're a mobile champagne cart business. So
okay,
yeah,
sounds interesting.
It's really cute.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Awesome, gracias. So our next guest is another attendee at Deborah's Boujee and Blessed event, Gala. Vow Empowerment.
Yes.
Correct. Okay. So, well, hold on. Before we get into what exactly you do, let me ask you the questions, and then we can move on to what you do. Also, because you also host events.
Yes.
Okay. Describe tonight in 1 or 2 sentences, and what was your takeaway?
As a self-love coach, I always take away the lack of self-love and what we learned when we were young, which lack of self-love. And my takeaway today is that everyone goes through the similar stories, even though they're different, right? Grief, loss, whatever it is. But it's lack of self-love. And that's where we all connect. We were in a room full of women that connected with their stories.
Yeah.
A lot of us were crying.
Yeah.
I was crying. And I was like, yes, that was me. Yes, that was me. Yes, yes. But I was happy to bring my 15-year-old daughter so she can learn at a young age what we go through as women.
Yeah.
And I hope she learns from this to break the cycle. Because I'm breaking the cycle with her. I want her to just keep going. So I loved it because I learned a lot that sometimes we think it's just about us. We're in a victim mindset.
Yeah.
Oh, my life is this, my life is that. And we don't realize that the woman sitting next to us is probably going through it or worse.
Yeah.
The person in front of us is probably going through it, because we just think about us. We just think about us.
Yeah.
And it's not like that. It's let's heal, and we're going to learn compassion and empathy towards others. And then we make that connection and we uplift each other. And that's what I got from Deborah and the panelists. Because I was hearing her story. You helped me because of this. You helped me because of this. And you helped me because of that. Yeah. And that was just amazing. Amazing.
It was a really good, I really liked, I think we were just saying, I like the vulnerability that was going on in that space. I think it was a lot to take in for just a second. Yeah. And I had to keep moving around to not get engulfed in it because the journey, because you go home and we'll have dreams about this conversation because we start like digging in deep to our own trauma because it's resurfacing again when we hear, not because we hear them talking, but because there's still trauma that needs to be addressed. Sometimes we have to address it over and over, and not that we want to like self-mutilate our emotions, but it's just because it's there and we have to address it when it's there.
And we don't know how to because we weren't taught.
No, we weren't.
How to. So that's the difficult part, and that's the part I had to learn to do. And because I was by myself, and with the women that I turned to help for, they didn't know either, and I was like, okay, I have to be the one. I choose to be the one to help those other women, which is why I became a self-love coach. Because in my healing process, in the techniques that I'm learning, I'm going to be able to help other women heal those traumas. Yeah. So, it was amazing.
Thank you, Kayla. Okay, now talk to me about what you do. You called a self-love coach. You're a self-love coach, and what is it that you do?
So I do one-on-one coaching, and I do workshops to help women realize the importance of self-love. And when you start your self-love journey, you are healing. You are healing. And when you start healing, you start seeing all all around you success in every aspect of your life. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. When you heal and put your needs first, you learn your self-worth. You learn to set boundaries. You learn all of this, and then you want to give that same love to the ones around you. In my case was with my daughter, my husband, and my kids. Then I learned, because I was healing and had self-love, it gave me more success in our business that we have. I have my husband and I have a business. I help him administrate the business, and there. So that's why I became a self-love coach, but it's called Vow Empowerment because it's vowed to be valiant, outstanding women, putting your needs first. Because we like to promise others, yes, I'm going to take care of my baby. Yes, I vow to my husband, I'm going to be faithful. I'm going to, right, vow to everyone, but we leave ourselves sorted. So I vow to do something for myself. Today, I'm going to do something for myself. So that's what Vow Empowerment is for. I do one-on-one coaching, but I do workshops to help women understand the importance of self-love, putting your priorities first, because then you're going to be in a happy and better mood. You're going to be peaceful. So now, instead of lashing out on my kids and on my husband, I know how to handle triggers. I know how to now handle myself and realize, hold on, this triggered me. Why? Okay, something's going on with me, and it happened a lot with my daughter. And I lashed out on her, and I'm like, okay, stop. I'm like, okay, why are you feeling that? Did you sleep good? Are you on your period, or are you about to get on your period? I start asking myself, why am I feeling? Why did I lash out on her? Sometimes it's lack of sleep. I didn't sleep well last night. I woke up because the little one was sick, or you know what? I am PMSing. I am, I'm going through this stress at work. You start asking yourself. So now, instead of lashing out to my child like I used to, now it's like I'm learning and I'm controlling my emotions and taking care of myself, so I won't lash out on my daughter. So then like that, she won't take it like, oh, my mom, I grew up with my mom just screaming at me, because I didn't know how to handle my emotions. I didn't know how to handle my, my traumas. So that's what I do. That's what Vow Empowerment's about. And just trying to help women out there.
Thank you for sharing that. So if I could find you, if I wanted to attend one of these events, where would I go?
Instagram. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, but mainly Instagram. Vow Empowerment.
Vow Empowerment. At Vow Empowerment.
Yes, at Vow Empowerment.
Muchas gracias,
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I have a very young perspective today. I think one of the younger attendees here at Boujee and Blessed event. I have a question. I definitely don't want to keep you too long because I understand. Just one question. Describe tonight in 1 or 2 sentences, and what was your takeaway?
So tonight was actually kind of like emotional. I got to hear like different perspectives of like all these women, like all the struggles they go through, and what they did to get to like where they are now, to prosper and to flourish. And I got to learn like that, like they're just like religion is also like a very big part of like their lives, and it's also in mine. So I got to see that how like God really helps them along their way and always giving them like signs and so that they can find their way through and flourish and blossom.
Nice. So really quick then, 1 or 2 sentences if you can describe tonight.
I got pretty emotional, so like it was pretty emotional, but also like inspiring. Yeah.
Today's word is inspiring.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So with the last 3 panelists, I asked really quickly, I want you to really quickly tell me what it is that you do with HTech's Brow Lab.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
HTech's Brow Lab.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I do everything brows, brow waxing, teen brows, men's grooming, brow therapy, which is helping women if the hair is still there. I can help them grow it back. Brow lamination, which is the newest and latest trend, which helps your brows look fuller, fluffier, like a blowout. There's hybrid tint. There's henna. There's now going into the paramedical brow tattooing because I work with 2 doctors, the microblading, the microshading, and ombre brows. So that's for people who are ready to make that commitment and jump into something a little bit more semi-permanent.
Semi-permanent, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quickly, I want to talk about today's panel that happened.
Yeah.
I got to know more about you. I think the entire audience got to know more about you.
Yeah.
There was much more. I know you from we run sometimes in the same circles, and I know who you are. I know you have a brow. I know that you had a son. I know that you worked in, for Mac at some point. I knew all of this. We started to dive deep with you.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very impactful panel. There was a lot that I learned about you, and I was able to relate to you.
Yes.
So I want to revisit that panel, and I want to ask you, why did you share today? Why today? Why did you allow yourself to open up? Because it sounded like you've gone through a journey.
Yeah. And
a big journey.
A big journey. And I'm actually still going through it. There's a big portion that I didn't share today, but the portion that I did get to share was I'm not the only woman who, there's women, it's a blessing to be able to get pregnant, right? And then there's that story of women who are unable to, right? And that's personal too, because I have a sister who went through that journey.
Okay.
But I didn't believe at the time that anybody else was experiencing or had experienced, because no one really talks about it. We don't ever get vulnerable.
Yeah.
It's more of like hey, you should do this. Maybe you should try this. Oh, don't eat that, right, while you're going through your pregnancy. But they don't really know what you're really going through, because no one really takes the time to say, how are you, right? No one. I mean, my entire pregnancy, no one ever asked. And I was sick, fearful more. That was the bigger sickness, was living in fear. But I felt like my story needs to be heard to be able to help another woman or many. It's not only a testimony that I was able to beat and overcame. I'm not a victim, I'm still in this journey of okay, if I'm having certain issues where I feel like I'm not good enough as a mom, God reminds me very gently that I am in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And so I meet so many women in my what I do. I consider it my ministry, and it's a blessing. So I'm like, hey, if they're pregnant or just going through their journey, or hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
How are you, right?
Yeah.
And then eventually asking the story, like, how are your kids, right? Because we just never. It's hard to see the person in front of you.
Yeah.
Like, we can go by just like you said.
Yeah.
I know you as eyebrows, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know the depth of other people.
Yeah.
And there's beauty in that. So, it was a voice when God saved me. Like, He opened up.
Yeah.
Everything else, and He's like, it needs to be heard because others are going through it as well.
Oh my
so
God.
yeah,
I'd love to, Sonia, invite you back to conversation and talk more about this, because there's no way I can capture this within the first, within 5-10 minutes. At some point, come back and have conversations, because I thank you for opening up in that way, because it definitely allowed the entire group to cry with you, to open up even more, to go in deep, and to go under the surface of beyond our regular story, right?
Yeah.
I had a hard time and I got over it. How did that happen?
Yeah.
How did that happen? I want to know how, because how did you do it? Right? I want to know.
How,
I'd love to get in deep with you. Thank you so much for having a conversation with me.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Gracias, Sonia. So today, very quickly,
Yes.
Deborah, you had an amazing event today. It was inspiring. It was impactful. It was everything. What was the purpose of today's event? What were you trying to take from it?
For me, I just wanted to highlight women that had powerful stories, because we all have powerful stories, but having the platform, yes, we have our Instagram, yes, we have all that, but I think just sitting down and getting that one-on-one, getting down and deep and raw, real, it's hard to capture that on stories, on a highlight reel, as people like to say. And for me, it was just really important to highlight those women, because each one of the panelists that were here tonight, they really just have impacted my life. Yeah. And so I just wanted them to impact other women's lives, and I'm just so happy.
When we walk away from the event, where the high is now, I want you to tell me in your words, the high that you're in right now, describe it for me. I want to capture this because it's in the moment. It's your first event. Boujee and Blessed. They're here. The panel's here. The panelists. We're wrapping it up. This is amazing. It was an amazing, amazing conversation. I want to get your perspective. Give me what you feel exactly right now.
I feel proud.
Nice.
Proud. I feel blessed to be able to, I don't know, like this didn't come out of nowhere. It took time, but I never even imagined myself at this point or doing this. Like, this literally was a step of faith, and I just feel like this is how every woman should feel.
Okay.
I want everyone to feel empowered after they leave, but not just, oh, okay, great event, okay, next, on to the next one. No, it's living their life on purpose and moving different from this point forward. And that's how I'm moving. I literally, that's how I'm moving in my life, empowered and not caring about what other people say. Just do it, just go. And that's what I want women to take from this event, to just feel proud to be a woman and just walking your purpose, you know, because we all have a purpose. And I can't explain it. I'm really trying to find the words right now. And I'm surprised that I'm not even crying right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you cried throughout the day.
I really did. I really did.
No, I think it's, thank you for the invite. Thank you for inviting me into your space. Thank you for allowing me to do this here. Honestly, it was amazing for me. It was amazing for me. It was impactful for me. I'm going to take all the emotion that was blessed upon me today to be able to move that forward in my relationship, within my journey. I have a hard time with my faith. But I'm going to move differently. Thank you for tonight.
I'm so glad.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being here.
I'm
so grateful for you.
I know. Okay,
Thank
one
you.
more time.
Yes.
Tell me, where can we find you?
Yes, Boujee_and_blessed, or my personal page, Yo Busybody. Because I'm always doing something. I'm always busy doing something. So go watch me.
So you heard that. Follow her. I know this is her first event. She's going to have more amazing events coming up. And with that, bye.
Bye.
Thank you. And I'm back. So what did you think of those interviews? What did you think about the conversation I had with the guest of Deborah's event? What did you think of Deborah? Isn't she amazing? I think so. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like this episode, I would love a rating, a review, a comment on whatever platform you see this. May it be Instagram, Facebook, we're on LinkedIn now, or Apple Podcast. If you like this episode, we love a rating and a review. And also to my new co-host, thank you for joining me. Thank you for taking on the spirit that is the Latina Leadership Podcast and the message and believing in it, to join me in these forces, to join me in getting the word out of the Latina message. And that of which what we can do and we've always known we could do. I think just heighten it and putting a spotlight in what just is exactly what we needed. So I really, really hope you enjoy these episodes. I really hope you enjoy this new season with my new co-host, because we have a lot more amazing conversations to have with you. With that, I'll see you next time. Bye.
What did you think of the conversation? If you enjoyed what you heard, let us know in the comments. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Thank you for listening to the Latina Leadership Podcast, and we will see you next time.